It's kind of funny how all this game came about because I was introduced to it in the weirdest way. So it was really big in the arcades originally, but fun fact, I never played the first one in any arcade. I played all the other ones. I saw them, never saw the first one. But besides that, like I said, you got to remember I want to say 6 or 7 when this game debuted. So I wasn't going to a lot of arcades anyway. It's funny because it wasn't even my game. It was Denny's birthday, and his is in July, and it was summer vacation, and they got it for him, and I had no idea, never heard of it, never seen it before. It just looked cool. You know, it had the dragon emblem on it, and I started playing it, and I was like, it plays like unlike anything I played before, right? And you gotta remember, this is Super Nintendo version, so the gore was like not there. So I didn't even know about the whole gore being like, that's why people played it, right? So, yeah, it's sweat. You would hit them and just sweat would come off. We didn't know any of the moves because back then, if you didn't have a magazine or if you didn't look this up, because you got to remember, internet didn't exist. The only ways you could find secrets was you had to buy the magazines like the Game Pros, or you had to literally like call the hotlines. They had hotlines where you could call and they would give you like secret moves, things like that. But they would charge you, obviously. So we're down there playing, and I remember I got raided, and I did his torpedo dive, and I don't know how I did it. I was just mashing buttons, and we all just started laughing our asses off. We're like, how the hell did you do this? And I don't know. I didn't even know I could do that shit. So for the longest time, you know, you're just trying to figure out the game. Like you would do something and you would be like, how did I do that? And then you try to go back and remember what buttons you pushed. So I played it like religion for probably, I don't even know how long it was, probably like the first year or two. I was playing it, and this is so funny because I didn't know there was fatalities in the game. I had no clue, because the computer never did them to me, ever. There was this kid named Neil on the playground, and he came up to me, he's like, hey, I know how to do everybody's finishing move in the game. I'm like, what is a finishing move? You know, he's like, what, you don't know? I'm like, no. How was I supposed to know? Because like I said, information is very vague back then. Like you either had to talk to somebody who knew it or read it or something like that. People are never going to remember how it was when you used to go to the mailbox and you got your monthly issue. I read it from cover to cover like religion, man. And he gives me this notebook paper on the playground. He writes them all down, like all the characters. He's like, put these inputs in and at these areas, and they will do these animations. And I'm like, okay. So I went home. I'll never forget, I think Scorpion was the first one I tried because I played him a lot. And he just pulls off and the screen went dark and I'm like, what is this, you know? And then he just burns the dude alive. I'm like, my mouth almost hit the floor because I know it's very vague today, like it's not so impressive with the, you know, how the gore is today. But when you could do that in a game, it was very impressive. I remember when I first saw it and I put the commands in and he did that, it was like, whoa, I can't believe I just fried that guy into like pieces, or I ripped his head off his shoulders, or you know. It was so funny because even Ed Boon said in that interview, he goes, there was a lot of other games that were still controversial, but for some reason their game was so popular. And I can see why, because it was just the way it played and functioned was like any other fighting game at that time. Both Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, when they were like coming out and being really big, I never heard about either one of them because just for some reason those titles eluded me. And a lot of friends I talked to, you were either one way or the other. They really divide. It's like, are you a Street Fighter fan or are you a Mortal Kombat fan? So personally, the reason I went with Mortal Kombat first, and I still go on that side if you had to pick between the two, is just because I was introduced to it first. That's kind of how I became into Mortal Kombat. That's really how it all started. I was starting on that Super Nintendo and just going forward from there. So, and I'm still, dude, and still this day, man, like, a big fan of it.